Luang Prabang, the pre-1975 capital of Laos, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site with its many Buddhist temples and French colonial architecture. We reached Luang Prabang after a long scenic road journey from Phonsavan. That evening, we visited the night market. Early the next morning, we saw the almsgiving ceremony in the nearby streets. The remainder of the day was spent visiting the various Wats, most notably Wat Visunatharath and Wat Zienkong. We climbed Mount Fuji and visited the Royal Palace. The next day we wandered around the city, went to the Ethnology Centre and took a trip to the Kuang Si waterfalls. The night market was a few minutes' walk away from our hotel. The streets were filled with hundreds of stalls with all kinds of goods, aimed mainly at tourists. At 5 o'clock the next morning, we returned to nearby streets to see the daily giving of alms ceremony, where monks collect gifts of food from the public. Some tourists bought pots of sticky rice and joined in the giving. The monks processed along the streets, collecting their gifts, and then chanted prayers of thanks. On our way back to the hotel, we passed through the morning market,
Grilled honeycomb.
where cooked foods, meats and fresh vegetables were being displayed by the street traders. After breakfast, we went on a temple tour. First stop was Wat Visunatharath.
That was built in 1513. 1513. So this temple has been destroyed during the Chinese invasion in the early 19th century. So the original temple, it was built by all wooden. Now they rebuilt this in 1896. It was rebuilt.
The reconstructed Wat follows the general layout of its ornate timber predecessor, but is a plainer brick and plaster structure. Inside are a number of centuries-old Buddhas and other historic religious artifacts. The watermelon-shaped stupa opposite the Wat is the only one of its shape in Laos. Wat Alam is also on the same site. Next we walk along the Nankan River to Wat Zienkong. This 16th century monastery is one of the most important in Laos and escaped destruction in 1887 as it was used by the Chinese invaders. Ahead is the central shrine, or Sim, and beside the Sim is a small standing Buddha chapel. The entrance to the Sim is richly decorated. As is the interior. A large gilded Buddha faces us. The 8 massive wooden pillars are covered in lacquer and gold leaf. The hangput to the right. Ceiling decorations. Black and gold wall decorations.
Oh, I see.
Roof details. The rich decorations extend to the rear wall. We leave the sim and head for the carriage house that dates from 1962. As we enter, we're faced by the 7 heads of the nagas that adorn the royal hearse. This 12-metre high carriage is built on the chassis of a 6-wheel lorry. Buddhas line the richly decorated walls. The Red Chapel, with its reclining Buddha. Glass images cover the outside wall. The seated Buddha. And the library. Boats in the boat shed. We take coffee by the Nankan River, briefly visit Wat Afe, and then start the climb up Mount Fuji. The route up is lined with religious imagery. At the top is Wat Chomsi, and views over the city. We descend the north side of the hill and exit opposite the Royal Palace. The temple at the Royal Palace. King Sisavong. We visited the Royal Palace, which is now a museum, but video was not allowed. Video was permitted in the nearby Ethnology Centre, where we saw some traditional Lao dress. A mosquito net. We then wandered the city centre to get a flavour of the French colonial style before returning to our hotel. On our second day, we travelled to the beautiful Huangsi waterfalls, the lower pool, the middle pool, the main waterfall, and the upper pool. We climbed to the top and went for a walk in the woods. A web and the spider. Cultivation on the river. The stream above the falls. We head back to climb down the other side of the falls and then swim in the lower pool. Finally, we visited the bear sanctuary. Before driving back to Luang, Prabang. That evening, we had a group dinner at a restaurant across this footbridge over the Nanking River. We arrived in good time for cocktails and were soon joined by the rest of the group. Fortunately, the bridge was well lit for our return crossing at the end of the evening.